Scott is the absolute best the Cowboys could do.
I agree. I think for what they've been trying to build, he is their best option.
I think they do need a running game. I don't know if Ezekiel Elliott is the best option.
Yeah, they brought in Dalvin Cook, but I don't think he saw the field yet. So
Let me ask you this about the Browns. Obviously, they put up 17 points. Deshaun Watson, again, doesn't look great. Hasn't really looked great since he signed to this 100% guaranteed contract. I mean, how bad are these Browns? I mean, they made the playoffs last year with Joe Flacco. And I think if they can't make the playoffs with Deshaun Watson, I mean, how bad is he?
yeah, they got to bring Flacco back. Seriously,
Yeah.
I mean, he was unreal.
Yeah, he's the guy who just throws the ball a mile and hopes people catch it. You know?
Yeah, and they were not good against the Cowboys. Cowboys were eating them up.
Yeah, what surprised me really was the defense, because the Browns rely on their defense, just like we were talking about. A lot of these teams with young quarterbacks rely on their defense. I'm almost wondering if having Deshaun Watson hurts them, because they try to rely on him more than the defense, and so try to be more of an offensive team. But that's not their MO. Like, I understand you're paying him $50 million a year guaranteed, but if he's not a game manager, you're not going to win games.
Yeah, it's crazy to see where he was like 4 years ago with the Texans, being one of the best players in the league, and now it's like he's got nothing. But I'll be
I mean, one of the
hopeful
best,
maybe he can make a play.
one of the best players in the league, but on a 5-11 team.
They had a good year. I think his last season they had, I want to say 12 wins.
All right. Yeah. So I thought they went 5-11, but he had like 5,000 yards passing. But that was when Billy O'Brien was there. You know, he's not there anymore. So the next game I have to talk about, really not a lot going on in this game. We have the Seahawks beat the Broncos 26-20. You brought it to my attention, the Geno Smith play. I'm going to let you talk you through it. I'm going to throw the clip up here for those of you who are listening. You can't see it. That's why you should watch the live show. But I do have a clip here of Geno Smith. And why don't you talk us through this play and what it is you like about it?
Yeah, I mean, just the energy he brings at the end of this run. I mean, he commits for the end zone as soon as he starts running. And just the celebration is everything you want to see as a Seahawks fan. I mean, that was a turning point in the game. That run got the whole team into it, and then Kenneth Walker kind of took over from there.
Yeah, so with Geno Smith, and I root for the guy because he's had a really weird career as well. Drafted in the second round, like one of the first picks in the second round. And then if you remember, I think his offensive lineman punched him and broke his jaw his rookie year. Then he missed like his whole rookie season with the Jets. And then he did okay with the Jets, but then he kind of bounced around a little bit, got to the Seahawks, and he's done really well with the Seahawks. I will say my criticism of this play isn't the play itself. It's the fandom that came with it. I saw a lot of people saying, like, you know, showing shades of Michael Vick, and that just made me sick to my stomach, because I don't know if you watched Michael Vick in his prime, but Michael Vick would have been in there, you know, in half as much time.
No, yeah, I agree. That's part of the reason I love this play so much, because nobody was expecting it. I mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised to not see him get a run like that the rest of the season. But
well, I think Gerard Mayo said that Jacoby Brissett is the slowest black quarterback in the league, and I don't know. I think Geno Smith is right there. That's going to be a very slow foot race between the two of them.
I look forward to it.
Instead of having, you know, Tyreek Hill racing against DK Metcalf, let's get Geno Smith versus Jacoby Brissett. And then, of course, the last bit of around the NFL news that I wanted to touch on here is the rookie quarterbacks. You know, we saw Caleb Williams got his first start, Bo Nix got his first start, and Jaden Daniels got his first start. I do have their numbers written down here. Nix, obviously in that loss to the Seahawks, he goes 26 of 42, 138 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He carries the ball 5 times for 35 yards and a touchdown. Let me touch on his performance right away. I'll get your thoughts. Obviously, throwing the ball 40 plus times a game, that's not good for Patrick Mahomes. You can't get away with that, let alone a rookie quarterback, first week of the season, and Sean Payton has him throwing the ball 40 times. I mean, what kind of recipe is that for success?
It's not. I mean, I thought they were going to be run heavy with the rookie they brought in, Estime, out of Notre Dame. I thought he was going to be getting a lot of carries. I don't know if he got one. But yeah, they got to lean towards the run game, I think, and get them going.
Yeah, it was definitely not a good idea when you have a rookie quarterback. And then we have Caleb Williams. Now, Caleb goes 17 of 24, 70.8% completion, but really playing the game manager role. Oh, I'm sorry. I have that wrong. I have it flipped. Sorry. That was Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels goes 17 of 24, 70.8% for completion, 184 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns rushing. He had 88 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Now, Jaden Daniels was my favorite quarterback in this draft. I think that he's just fun to watch. I watched him at LSU last year, and there's nothing he can't do. My concern with his game isn't going to be the quarterback play. Obviously, he threw it 24 times. Perfect. But the running it 16 times, I don't like that for him. He's like 190 pounds, very skinny. He's not built like Lamar Jackson. He's not built like Cam Newton. If they're going to have him carry the ball 16 times a game, he's going to be hurt by week 6.
Yeah, that was upsetting me that Austin Eckler was barely getting the ball. I think he had 2 carries. So I don't know what they're thinking over there, but they got to start handing the ball off.
Now, I'm curious because I didn't get to see much of this game. I don't know if you got to see a little bit of it on Red Zone. My issue with Lamar Jackson was with the play calling, not with him. Because when you would watch the Ravens play, these were designed run plays for Lamar Jackson. I don't like that because he can actually throw the ball. Jaden Daniels can actually throw the ball, 17 to 24. This guy can sling it, but they have him running the ball 16 times. So I don't know if these were designed run plays or if these were, plays that just broke down and he took off.
I'm thinking there were more that he took off. I know for the touchdowns, they were on the goal line and they could have easily handed the ball off to Eckler or Robinson. And 2 times in a row, he took it himself and put his body on the line. Not really sure why.
Definitely rookie mistakes. I see a lot of these rookies too, not sliding, but like diving head first. And I'm like, no, Don't do that.
Yeah, he was doing that a bunch.
Yeah, it's
somersaulting forward.
Yeah, bad coaching. You need to show these guys. All right, so the next segment I have here is buy or sell. Now, if you're not new to the show, you might have remembered this as I'd buy that for $1. My tip to RoboCop, one of the greatest cinematic movies of all time. To hell with The Godfather, RoboCop. That's really what you want to watch. But it was confusing to say, would you buy this for $1 or not buy that for $1? So we're just going to go with buy or sell. Much easier to understand. And the first topic I have for buy or sell, this one makes me sick to my stomach. But the Chiefs won 27-20 against the Ravens. And Xavier Worthy, their first round pick, had 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing and 1 receiving. Obviously, the guy's incredibly fast. I didn't like him as a first round pick. I said it was a mistake to take him in the first round because of his build. He's another skinny guy who I thought was going to get beat up. And I was like, if he was so good that he should be a first round pick, why didn't he light it up at Texas? Because he didn't. So for me, I'm not in love with Xavier Worthy as a player. Before I get to my buy or sell question, how do you feel about Xavier Worthy? Did you like it as a first round pick? Did you thought he should have been lower?
Yeah, I think I could see him being a second round pick. First, they traded up for him, I believe. So the Chiefs were in on him. So if they're trading up, they're going to get their guy. But he seems like he's a good player and a good fit for the Chiefs. So
I think the thing that surprised me was that this is a guy who was projected to be a third round pick. And then he runs a 4.21 40, and all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, he's a first round pick. Really, there's a lot of fast guys in the NFL that don't pan out. I mean, not everyone is Chris Johnson. You got guys like, I can't even think of their names, but the guys who, if you look at that list of the 40 in the combine, like the top 5 fastest guys, most of them aren't even in the league anymore.
Right.
So my buy or sell question for you, buy or sell Xavier Worthy as a number 1, number 2 receiving option in Kansas City?
I think I'm going to sell this. And my reason would be Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce, if he counts as a receiver. I just don't think Worthy can be in front of those guys.
All right. If you didn't count Kelce, would he be number 2 by Rice, or would you think they have Marquise Brown, right, who might be hurt right now?
Yeah, so I guess if he's hurt, then yeah, I could buy him being a 2 behind Rice.
I just think it's too much time for him on the field. I'm selling it, 100% selling it. I think it's too much time for him on the field. Listen, I know he got 2 touchdowns, and everyone's like, hey, Wayne was wrong. no, wait, give it time. It's only 1 week. I'm usually wrong once or twice a decade. So the odds of me being wrong about this is very slim. But I'm selling this one completely on Xavier Worthy. The next buy or sell question I had for you, and we don't have any game tape of this because it is about an announcer, and that is Tom Brady, made his debut in the booth for the Browns and the Cowboys. And I don't know, you saw some of the clips on Red Zone. You heard him kind of break down some of the stuff. And I talked to you a little bit about it before the show, and I'll get into it a little bit more. But buy or sell Tom Brady as a legit color man?
I'm going to buy it, but I do think he could be something better than a announcer.
Yeah, I mean, he could go back to being a quarterback, but I don't think he's going to do that,
Yeah,
even though he
could
says
probably
that
win a
he
Super
might.
Bowl.
Right. But no, for me, I have to sell this one. I just watched the game, and obviously I watched almost the whole game, and just watching Tom Brady. I know it was his debut as well. So I know I just said, let's wait on Xavier Worthy. I should be waiting on Tom Brady as well. Obviously, anything he's ever put his mind to, he's succeeded at. But he was waiting for his cue. He didn't know when to jump in. And I understand that, again, it's his first time. I love Tony Romo, who's a former player who went and did this. And Romo seemed more natural with it. Once the guy stops talking, he starts talking. But Brady just would sit silent watching the game until he was, propped with a question.
He was locked in. He was watching the game,
Oh, yeah,
studying the plays.
They're not giving him $40 million a year to watch the game.
Well, that's chump change.
Well, maybe for him, I guess for Fox News as well, or Fox, it's chump change. But still, I think he's the highest paid announcer in any sport. And so for me, I'd love to see him break down more of the offensive plays, what the quarterback is seeing, what he sees just from his experience. That's the kind of stuff I like, that inside glimpse. I just can't have the play-by-play guy saying, hey, great run by Justice Hill there. He gets to the 30, and then have 14 seconds of silence before the play-by-play guy goes, all right, we're lining up again. Hey, Tom, what do you think about Justice Hill?
Yeah, I mean, if he's not too high on these players, what is he going to say? He's not going to just make something up. He's going to tell you how it is. So
I want to hear trash talking Brady, because we all know Brady talks smack. That was the rumor about him, is that he would talk so much smack to every defensive team, not defensive players, but he would talk smack to his defensive players in practice and whatnot. So I want to hear him up there in the booth when they say, hey, Justice Hill gets a 5-yard carry. I want to hear Tom Brady say, man, I can't believe that guy is still in the league.
I think he wants to say that. I don't think Fox will do that.
Oh, I don't know. I think they would love it. It's great for ratings. Ratings are the bottom line. I mean, you're not going to get sued by Justice Hill. So the buy or sell this, we have the Vikings won 28-6 against the Giants, the lowly Giants, who had 240 total yards of offense and just were embarrassing to watch. Daniel Jones, absolute garbage, hot garbage at that, just terrible, stinks. But they lose this game. They don't score a touchdown. Like I said, your 240 total yards of offense. He gets sacked 5 times. He throws 2 interceptions. I said this before the season. I'm sticking with it now, but I'll throw it at you. Buy or sell the New York Giants going 0-17 on the year?
I'm going to sell that. I think it's hard. That's a hard thing to do, especially when they had success like the last year. They had Dayball was doing his thing, so I would sell that. I think they're going to get a couple wins at least.
All right. Well, they could. I understand what you're saying about the difficult. It's going 0-17 is just as hard as going 17-0 theoretically. I mean, to never lose or to never win a game is difficult. But I'm just basing, before I saw this game, I said 0-17, and then seeing this game just confirmed it. I mean, this team is totally inept at every position. I mean, Malik Neighbors looks like he's going to be a star, but Daniel Jones is out after this year. Devin Singletary is not the answer at running back. I don't know. I just don't see how they could beat somebody unless they play a team that, gets hurt or something.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot for sure. They're going to have to start over at some point.
Well, let me ask you this question. Do you know how players or teams that are in the playoffs, they get the number 1 seed or whatnot, they'll sit their players the last game of the season. Hypothetically, if the Giants are 0-16 going into the last week, and they're playing a team that has clinched a playoff berth. If you're that team, do you sit your starters and be the team that the Giants beat in 2024? Or do you play your starters to make sure that you aren't the one team that they beat?
No offense to the Giants, but I don't think they're that worried about them. If they've already clinched their playoff spot, I mean, who cares about the Giants too at the on the last game of the season?
So you'd bench your players, your starters.
I think so.
All right. I don't know. I think I'd play them the first half, see how it goes. I kind of really, because I look at, you remember when you remember, you're a Patriots fan. The Patriots fans were 15-0 going into that last week of the season. They'd clinched the number 1 seed, and then they were playing the Giants, and the Giants almost beat them, and then they eventually did beat them in the Super Bowl, which sucks. But, Bill Belichick left his starters in the entire game. He was like, no, I'm going for this 19-0 season.
I do remember that. I do remember losing to the Giants. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Most Patriots fans hate the Giants, and it's not for anything like we have the Jets in our division. We hate the Jets. We don't really hate the Bills and the Dolphins as much. We dislike them, but we really hate the Giants because 2 Super Bowls they cost us.
Exactly.
The Bills beat the Cardinals 34-28. Josh Allen looked phenomenal. Midseason form looked unbelievable. Kyler Murray did okay. He completed 21 passes, but none of those passes were to Marvin Harrison, the 4th overall pick in the draft. One of those passes was. He caught 1 pass for 4 yards. He had 3 targets. Kyler Murray just came out on Twitter or something like that, or in an interview press conference. He said, Marvin Harrison, I throw it deep to him a couple of times, but you got to ask the offensive coordinator about that. So we'll talk about that statement in a second. Actually, let's talk about that right now. So offensive coordinator, to me, he's the one that calls the plays. So if he's calling plays where Marvin Harrison is the 3rd or 4th read, you're not putting him in a position to get the ball.
No, not at all. I don't know what's going on with Kyler coming out and saying that. I feel like he should be looking to get him the ball and get him going when they just draft him 4th overall.
Well, like I said, I think your offensive coordinator is the one calling the plays. Kyler's running the plays, and the quarterback knows this is your 1st read, this is your 2nd read, this is your 3rd, and so on. So if he's running plays where, like I said, where MHJ is the 3rd read or the 4th read, Kyler's never really getting to him in the progression. He's getting the ball out before he gets a chance to get to him. So I almost kind of blame the offensive coordinator. Like, you need to call more plays where the number 1 look is to MHJ.
Yeah, absolutely. And this could all be a setup for next week for Marvin Harrison Jr. just to go off.
It could be. Well, that's where we get to our buy or sell question I have here for you, which is buy or sell Marvin Harrison Jr. is a bust.
Absolutely selling this. If you remember Justin Jefferson, his first game in the NFL, he only had 2 catches, which is only 1 more than Marvin Harrison. So I'm going to sell that one.
I like that you said it's only 1 more. I like to say it's 100% more than Marvin Harrison had.
Okay.
So
yourself?
What's that?
What about you? Are you buying or selling?
I'm selling. Yeah, it's just kind of a hot button topic. Obviously, it's 1 game in. I mean, Marvin Harrison, he's 6'4". He runs a 4.3. He's got great hands. He runs great routes. There's no way this guy doesn't succeed in the NFL. It's a 0% fail chance.
Agreed.
Now, the Saints beat the Panthers 47-10. Not exactly the greatest, team to beat, but the Saints did beat them quite handily. Bryce Young went 13 of 30, 43% completion, 161 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The Saints had 4 sacks and 3 turnovers in this game. So before we get into the Saints, because our buy or sell is about the Saints, I want to talk about the Panthers a little bit. Bryce Young had a horrible year last year, 10 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. This year he starts off 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. This is kind of a double buy or sell. I'll say buy or sell that Bryce Young is going to have a better year this year than he had last year.
Yeah, I think he will have a better year. With the weapons they brought in, I don't see how he could not have a better year.
So what do you attribute this game against the Saints?
That's tough. I'm not sure if it was the Saints playing good or the Panthers playing bad, or maybe Mix of both.
Are you
It's
a
tough to
Bryce
say.
Young guy? Or?
I am. I do. I was pretty high on him for having a bounce back year and getting right, but it's off to a tough start.
Yeah, I am a big Bryce Young guy myself. I watched him play at Alabama. I think he's a perfect game manager, and I've had this conversation before. It depends on what you're expecting out of Bryce Young. If you're expecting him to go out there and throw receivers open and throw for 5,000 yards in the season and 40 touchdowns, he can't do that. If you're setting up for failure, if that's what you want him to do. But if you let him do what Brock Purdy does, which is kind of just check down, hit the open guy, let your defense win. We talk about this. Treat him like a young rookie quarterback. I think he can have great success because he's very accurate and short and intermediate throws. I don't think he has a great arm, but just keep it short and intermediate, and I think he's fine. So I wonder if the Panthers are almost misusing him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're still figuring it out with the new head coach, but I do have some faith in them, especially the rookie they drafted. I think he's a stud.
Now, the real buy or sell in this game here was with the Saints. Obviously, they win 47-10. This year, they were predicted to have 7.5 wins. That was the over-under for them. They had 9 last year, but the over-under from Vegas was 7.5 on wins for them. So buy or sell the Saints with 8+ victories this year.
I'm going to buy it. I think they got the mojo going with the Super Bowl and into New Orleans. Derek Carr seems to be settled in fine. So, yeah, I'm going to buy that one.
I would have sold it earlier because I really thought the Falcons were going to go 12-4 this year with Kirk Cousins, and they did not look good against the Steelers. So if they turn out to not be that great, this NFC South is just a bunch of trash. So, I mean, every team in there could win 8 games, or all of them could win 2 games.
Hey, do you think the Bucs are trash?
Oh yeah, forget about the Bucs. They're forgettable. They're not trash. They're just, they're that thing that you forgot about that should have gone in the trash. So the Chargers beat the Raiders 22-10. This was, Jim Harbaugh getting his debut, if you will, against Antonio Pierce, head coach of the Raiders, and the Chargers get the upper hand. Now, all things said, though, Gardner Minshew looked good, 25 of 33. That's 76% completion. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 257 yards. When you compare that to Justin Herbert, who went 17 of 26 for 144, basically Gardner Minshew was the better quarterback in that game. They still have Devontae Adams. They still have Jacoby Myers. They seem to be a decent team up and coming. I know they lost this game to the Chargers, but my question is buy or sell the Chargers finishing ahead of the Raiders in the standings at the end of the season?
That's probably the best buy or sell you've asked me so far. I kind of want to go with the Raiders to figure it out and finish ahead of the Chargers at the end of the year. But yeah, that was a weird game. J.K. Dobbins kind of just ran right up the middle for 80 yards, and that seemed to be the difference for the Raiders.
I was just going to say that J.K. Dobbins had 10 carries for 135 yards and the touchdown. He's not going to do that every game. I mean, I've had high hopes for J.K. Dobbins when he was in Baltimore. I thought he was going to be a savior for Lamar Jackson, that he was going to be this load carrier, and then he blew out his knee and he was done for a year, and then he never kind of recovered. This 135 yards, I think, is a fluke, and I happen to believe that the only way the Chargers can win is if J.K. Dobbins puts up 135 yards a game. So since I don't think he's going to do that every game, I also am going to say sell. I think the Raiders are going to finish ahead of the Chargers.
There you go.
And now it is time for Patriots End Zone. This is where we get to talk about our favorite team, the New England Patriots, who beat the Bengals 16-10 on Sunday. Not a pretty game. Patriots had 290 yards. The Bengals had 224. Big difference was the Bengals had 2 turnovers. The Patriots had none. So I guess give me your thoughts initially about the Patriots post week 1.
Yeah, I was not expecting a win. I was actually expecting the Bengals to beat us by like 50 points. So I'm happy. We got a victory. We're in the win column.
So it is funny that, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that this is a team that I predicted would go 4-12 on the year. And yet I had them beating the Bengals here in this first game because it's the first game of the season, because Joe Burrow hasn't played a regular season NFL game in like 10 games. I said, and this Patriots defense is really good. I mean, Keon White had 2.5 sacks. I picked him to be the defensive rookie of the year last year. He wasn't, but he's starting to look just like this animal that he was at Georgia Tech. Christian Gonzalez is back and fully healthy. And I know we can say that Jamar Chase got 6 catches for 62 yards, but I think he had 1 catch in the entire first half. I mean, Christian Gonzalez shut him down. And so this defense is legit. Ramondre Stevenson is a workhorse back. I think if you just don't turn the ball over, which is what they did here, they're going to win 9 or 10 games, maybe. I don't think they can do it only getting 290 yards. They have to get more yards. But what are your thoughts on, I guess, a ceiling and a floor for this team win-wise?
Yeah, I was with you before the season. I was thinking maybe 3 wins. But if we can play this style of football throughout the year, I could see us win 7 or 8 games, which is great.
Any particular player that you're excited about? I know I'm excited about Joe Milton, but we both agree he's not going to play this year. I love Christian Gonzalez. When they drafted him 17th overall last year, I was turning cartwheels in my living room because he'd slipped down and kept slipping down. I thought he was going to be a top 10 pick. And when it got down to 17 and he was still on the board, I said, Bill, don't you dare take an offensive lineman here. And he took Christian Gonzalez, and I jumped for joy.
Yeah, he's been great. A player I'm looking forward to getting back is Marcus Jones. He was phenomenal when he was just starting off and he got injured. So happy he's back. And he made a big play. I think he had that fumble recovery on the goal line.
He's an absolute ball hawk. I mean, whether it's a fumble recovery or punt returns or interceptions, like he's just always around the ball. I love him as well. Great returning back with him. You've got Christian Gonzalez. You've got Jonathan Jones at corner. Your safeties. You've got Jabril Peppers. You've got Kyle Duggar. This team's defense. Here's going to be the sad thing. If this team does go 6-11 or something like that, people are going to forget how good this defense is. This might be one of the best defenses they've had in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, the last 5 years, as tough as it's been offensively, I think our defense has been one of the best in the league. So if Bill left us with anything, it was a great defense. We're set on defense.
Now, my question for you here is obviously, Jacoby Brissett, he gets the win. It's not really him winning the game. The defense won it. The running game won it. But let me ask you, how long do you think he plays before Drake May actually gets his first start?
I mean, that's the question. That's definitely the question. I would like to see May come in at some point this year, just because we drafted him 3rd overall. I think he has to come in and start playing. And I think he can play with this style of offense we got going.
Can you paint a scenario where he doesn't get to play this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm kind of expecting him not to play, but I would like to see him play.
Because for me, I think in order for him to not play, because I think the plan is for him to play probably the entire second half of the year. But the only scenario I could think of where he doesn't play is if the Patriots are somehow in playoff contention throughout the year, like getting into those last 4 games. If there's still a chance that they could pull off a wild card somehow, I don't think Drake May gets to play this year.
No, it wouldn't make sense to just throw him in after a full season of almost getting to the playoffs. It wouldn't make sense.
I would say that the Patriots, in order to play Drake May the second half of the year, they're going to have to go 3-5, 3-6 for him to play. Anything better than that, I don't think he plays.
Yeah, that's fair.
And we will get to our fan feedback. We'll see if we got any comments here. Nothing in the chat. So it'll be a short fan feedback section. Please make sure you are feeding back stuff to us. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We're everywhere at NFL Experts Pod. You can interact with us. You can say what you like, what you don't like. You can ask us questions, and we will bring it up on the show in the fan feedback section. So you guys missed your opportunities. Don't miss it next week. Give us your stuff. That said, I want to say thank you, Joel, for joining the show. I hope you had a great time co-hosting here with me.
Yeah, that was great, Wayne. Thank you again. Excited for tomorrow night. Who do you got?
Oh, okay. Tomorrow. Who is it again? Thursday night?
Bills, Dolphins.
But it's in Miami. I'm gonna take Dolphins.
Me too.
Give me your spread.
I don't do spread, actually. I kind of just pick the winners.
Oh yeah, but I'm forcing you to pick a spread. You're saying the Dolphins are gonna win. How much are they gonna win by?
All right, I'll go 7.
1. They're gonna win by 1. I think Josh Allen late game interception and the game's over.
Okay.
All right, you heard it here. If that comes to fruition, call me Nostradamus of football. I'm definitely an NFL expert, and you've been listening to and watching the NFL Experts. Thank you for checking us out here on